Today, you are listening to Think Again Christian, where pop culture and Christian traditions collide with biblical truth. Sponsored by Rainier Christian Schools. And now your host, pastor of Ravensdale Bible Church and superintendent of Rainier Christian Schools, Tony Jamie.
Rethinking and re-examining concepts, ideas, traditions, and challenging your beliefs from American pop culture, your Christian denominational circles by the renewing of your mind. You know, whenever I speak or preach at a church or speak to students in a chapel or in radio or just in front of a large group, I can always count on the fact that there are people who are listening who are frustrated or in some kind of trial. It's just a natural human condition, and I'm around a lot of students who struggle to find the motivation to even care about being in school, right? And then I go to church and I'm around a lot of people who maybe aren't doing very well in life. And some of you are trying to juggle, real life and the hope that things will improve and that you can have a better life, a better job, live in a better neighborhood, have a better set of friends, a better life for you and your family. And there are many ways to go about it, but one concept that I want you to consider, and it's not a monetary concept, but think of it conceptually, because the idea may put you off, when you first hear it. But think about this: sleep is for broke people. Sleep is for broke people. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, there's a motivational speaker that I heard on YouTube a few years ago, and he speaks to college students, and he was describing the story of a young man who wanted to make a lot of money. That was his motivation, was to make a lot of money, and so he went to this guru, and he told the guru, "Hey, I want to be on the same level as people who are affluent, and so can you teach me?" And the guru said, "Okay, I'll meet you tomorrow at the beach." And so he told the young man, he goes, "We'll meet at the beach at 4 a.m. So 4 a.m. Oh, okay, and so 4 a.m. came around, he's ready to rock and roll, and he got on his suit, but he should have worn shorts. And the old man grabs him by the head and says, How badly do you want to be successful?" And he said, "Real bad, real bad." And he said, "All right, come with me and let's walk out into the water." Now remember, it's 4 a.m., it's the ocean. The ocean's cold. So he walks out in the otter, and now watch this. They get in the water, and they start getting up to about, waist deep, and the guy's thinking of something, this old man's crazy. Here I am, I'm out in a suit, and I think I'm talking to, a businessman about, helping me, and he's got me standing in the water. He's like, I want to make money, but he's got me out here swimming. I didn't ask to be a lifeguard. I want to make money. And so they walk out a little further, and a little further, and they get up to about shoulder high. He's like, "Man, this guy's crazy. I want to make money, but what's going on?" And the old man grabs him, and now having some leverage, and is dunking him in the water, and is holding him down, and there's a struggle, and the water's coming in, and it's about that point where this is kind of getting scary, and the old man lifts him up, and the guy catches his breath, and is trying to kind of get his bearings together, and the old man asks him a question. He says, Now, when you want to be successful as badly as you want to breathe right now, then you'll be successful. And so that was just a visual illustration of a concept that the old guru was trying to get across. And so, I know some people that, they have asthma, right? And if you've ever been around somebody who has an asthma attack, it's kind of scary, because, they can't breathe and they're wheezing, and you feel pretty helpless, that you can't really do anything, and maybe try to find that inhaler to grab that for them so they can catch their breath. And here's the deal. I come across people all the time, whether it's at school and they want to be a better student, whether it's at church and they want to be a better Christian. And, right now we're turning the corner in the new year, and there's a lot of New Year's resolutions, and, I want to be better, right? But how badly do you want to get better? See, most people want to be successful. They want to improve, but you know what they like a lot more than that? Sleep. If I were to allow my 20-year-old daughters, if I just say, hey, you know what? Let's just, good night, and tomorrow morning we'll see you when we see you. What time would they wake up? It's 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, right now. So I don't know. They'd probably still be sleeping. We enjoy our sleep. And you know what? As you get older and, tired and worn out and decrepit, boy, that sleep, that rest feels good. But if you really want to be successful, you might have to make some sacrifices. And some of those sacrifices have to do with sleep. There was a singer who was doing a movie, and they were talking to him, and they said, okay, here's this singer producer, and you're doing a movie, and he's laying out the soundtrack for that. And somebody asked him, well, wait a minute, you're acting during the day, you're laying out the track at night. When do you sleep? And his statement was, I don't sleep. Sleep is for broke people. Now, his motivation was growing up dirt poor and in the ghetto was, listen, I want to make money. I want to be successful. I want to have the good things in life, supposedly. And so the sacrifice that I need to make, the sacrifice I'm going to make to accomplish these goals is sleep. And so before I go on, remember this concept, it's for me and in Christianity, it's not about making money. And this is not an accusation against, poor people being lazy. That's not where we're going with this. Okay. This is just a phrase. It's a phrase that we're borrowing from somebody, and we want to understand the concept behind the phrase. Okay. Sleep is then synonymous essentially with the idea of just sitting on your hands, right? Not growing, not hoping, not having any goals, any hope, any vision, not having any plans. It's the idea then of, conceptually, broke people are sad and unsatisfied and wanting. And again, I want to be very clear that, there is no morality with your checkbook, right? There is no spiritual barometer based on the size of your house. Okay, that's not the discussion or argument I'm having. What we're talking about are really three things to key on, which is it's not where you come from, but it's about your heart. It's about sacrifice, and the most important thing in any moment of what you're doing and is that you may need to make some sacrifice. And then the third concept, which is pain is temporary. Pain is temporary. And so when we look at it, it's not where you come from. It's about the heart. Stop looking back. Stop looking behind. Stop looking in the past. The scriptures tell us, forget what lies behind and press on to what lies ahead. Don't think about all the failures that you've had in the past. Instead, effort and desires and a vision and hard work can beat all those things. Press on and you can conquer. One of my favorite sayings in sports, was, all men are created equal. Some just work harder in the off season. Okay, you can have a bad year. You can be not that good. But you can always improve. You can always do more to be successful. But it comes from your heart. It's got to be your heart's desire. See, trying to raise children and being a mentor to athletes and students, I can say the right things. I can talk to my sons. I can talk to my daughters. But if it's not their desire, if it's not really coming from them, it's going to be really difficult to get them to move. So one of the concepts here is sacrifice. Well, we're talking about making a sacrifice of sleep, and that's just one sacrifice. You may, one of my favorite movies is the Ultimate Gift. And if you really break down the ultimate gift, it's a series of different kinds of sacrifices. Sacrificing, work, hard work. And, you take a look at friendships. You take a look at learning the value of serving and ministering to others. There's a lot of different sacrifices. And again, today we're kind of focusing on this idea of slumber or sleep. Now, sometimes you need to give stuff up. We have these phones nowadays that are transcend just making a telephone call, right? It's like writing letters. You can send a long text. It's your cell phone's a TV. It's your connection with your friends. There's games on it, hobbies, YouTube videos. Music. A phone is like this walking party. Some people need to give up their phones. They spend too much time on their phones or looking at their iPad or iPod or laptop. And, you see these kids nowadays or you may even have friends over at a party and, they're sitting at your dinner table and you're talking to them and somebody's on the phone the whole time, not talking, just texting. Maybe that's keeping them from doing better in their life. When was the last time they picked up a book or actually watched something that was of value? For maybe it's just, shopping, or maybe it's playing, or maybe your hobby's gotten a little out of control. Maybe you just, the only thing you live for is Friday and Saturday night, and then you do it all again the next week. You may need to make some sacrifices. And then understand that pain is a temporary condition. And that's a hard thing to get your arms around when you're in the middle of the storm, right? You're in the middle of the trial. You're in the middle of the struggle. Or you're not even in the middle. You're below the basement. You've got to look up to see the floor. The floor is a glass floor, and you're looking up to see it. But know that any minute, any day, any year, eventually, the pain is going to subside. But giving up, quitting, that lasts forever. And if you're not good at something, then work at it and improve. Or one of my favorite lines, do better. And at the end of pain can be success. And the scriptures tell us that in James 1 and Romans 5. And so when we come back, we'll talk more about sleep is for broke people.
Since their small beginnings in 1963, the ministry of Rainier Christian Schools has been dedicated to educating and developing each of their students for the glory of God. And it's more than just a school. Rainier Christian Schools is actually an entire school district, with 3 schools serving the areas of Kent, Auburn, Covington, Renton, and Maple Valley. The Christ-centered environment weaves God's truth through everything they do, from top-notch academics all the way through their competitive sports programs. Learn more at rainiercsd.org or call 425-255-7273. That's 425-255-7273. Contact Rainier Christian Schools today.
Welcome back. You're listening to Think Again Christian, sponsored by Rainier Christian Schools. And now your host, Tony Jamie.
Sleep is for broke people. What does that mean? Well, it came from one of my favorite motivational speeches from Eric Thomas, and he was actually quoting somebody else, 50 Cent, I believe it was, where he describes the idea of having this work ethic and this work mentality of wanting to succeed and wanting to do better. And for him, the key to that and the sacrifice to that and the pain of that was going to be giving up sleep. And so again, we're talking about this concept that sometimes in order to improve and in order to do better, in order to reach our goals and our dreams, we may need to give something up, and it might be sleep. And sleep is just a phrase. It's a term, and it can be for anything. It's whatever thing holds you back, whatever obstacle is keeping you from doing better in your life, in your marriage, and whatever it is, in your studies. And then the idea of sleep is for broke people is just, again, the idea of, nobody really wants to be broke, right? It's the idea of, hey, you're going to give something up so that you can improve. When we look at some of the scriptures of this concept, and, whenever I listen to something, I want to process that with the scriptures. Quite often we see something in the secular arena and we have to eat the meat and spit out the bones, right? So while their motivation might solely be based on money, that's not my motivation. So my motivation is based on something else. It's based on something, let's say, spiritual. And if I'm trying to run a school, and if I'm the superintendent and I've got to balance the books and do the hiring and the curriculum, well, I may need to give something up. I need to make some sacrifices, and that might be sleep. And if I'm going to be diligent and a hard worker, how do I go about that? Well, the scriptures tell us, and one of my favorite illustrations is in Proverbs 6. And Proverbs 6 talks about the ant, right? This big, giant, powerful beast of a creature, the ant. And Proverbs 6:6-9 says, "Go to the ant, O sluggard, and consider her ways and be wise." Right? They don't have a chief. They don't have an officer. They don't have a ruler. They don't have, the Constitution or a list of tactics and strategies and goal sheets. But she prepares her bread in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. And how long will you lie there, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? And so we see again this illustration from the Bible about sleep being this obstacle, being lazy, the idea is sitting on your hands. Sleep is great. And you know what? There's a lot of studies. There's a lot of studies that have to do with sleep deprivation. It's actually one of the things that you need to be careful with, making sure you get enough sleep. And so please don't misquote me here. But too much sleep too much honey is a bad thing, right? The Bible talks about that. And so we look at this ant, and the ant is supposed to be this industrious, this good worker versus the sluggard, the one who just lies around. It's like, hey, you've got to prepare in the summer for the winter. Right now it's cold outside. It's snowing, it's freezing, it's freeze rain, and you get a couple days off, and it's like, I don't want to go work out in the yard right now. The problem is, if we don't do the work right now in the yard, then when spring comes along, we're going to be in trouble. And so we have to do that work now. I love this concept of looking at the ant, right? Because the ant is tiny. I mean, you need a magnifying glass to actually look and see his body and his structure. And again, it's not be like the rhino. Okay, now I would get, this big, powerful, beast going through no. We're supposed to be like ants, small, tiny. So it's not a power thing. It's a heart thing. And again, the idea of the sluggard is just being kind of, inactive. Now, her ways are, again, kind of synonymous with the ways of successful people, the way of successful people's habits. And look and see and look around you and see the people that you admire. And I guarantee you, there's steps, there's things that they do that you can do. A lot of times the marriages that we like, and we say, wow, they're a great couple and they love each other. And man, I wish our marriage was like that. And if you talk to them and say, hey, we fight too, we argue too. But we also pour into our marriage. We also, have Christ as the center of our marriage. We also use the Bible to fix and resolve our problems. We also, we go to marriage conferences and things like that. And you're like, you go? Why do you go? You're perfect. Well, yeah, the people who work on things get better at them. They get better at them. And you don't need a chief. You don't need a pastor. You don't need a guru. You don't need the president or the CEO of your organization to say, hey, be innovative, work harder. Do it yourself. You want to rise, you want to do better, be your own leader. The idea of preparing in the summer that this ant does, it's planning. It's okay to plan. It's okay to strategize. It's okay to have goals. We were just talking about this in church, and, New Year's resolutions. And, it's okay to have New Year's resolutions. It's okay to plan, to have vision, to have goals and desires, steps. If you want to read the Bible in a year this year, well, how many pages, how many chapters a day should you read? That's okay. It's great to have those kinds of goals. Plan it out. And then, you know what? You will see a harvest. You will see fruit at the end of that road. Proverbs 30 talks about, 4 things on earth, and, the ants are a small people. They're not strong, and yet they provide their own food in the summer. The weak, the small, the tiny, the seemingly inconsistent, they can be strong. The little guy can win. You can win. You can overcome. There's no reason why you can't improve and be successful or change the current situation that you're in. At Rainier Christian Schools, our purpose statement is to educate and develop the whole person for the glory of God. Our top 2 goals are spiritual and academic, but we're also trying to prepare our students for the real challenges of life. And so Sleep is for Broke People is an attitude of having that desire and willingness to make the necessary sacrifices, not even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, and really when there is actual pain, and understanding that the pain is temporary. And so the way we implement this, and the way we're constantly talking about it and teaching and growing through this, or through some of our mottos or some of our sayings, our do better. Do betters. We have posters in every classroom all over the place. Do better. Who's that for? It's for the students and the teachers. It's for both. Hey, we good, better, best. Never let it rest. Your good is better and your better's best. We want to improve. Well, how do we improve? We have compete. Compete's one of our mottos in school. What the heck does that mean? It's not the football team. Well, life is competition. There is an adversary in the Christian world, right? We have the heavenly hosts, and there's battles that are being fought every day over us, spiritual battles that are taking place. There's an enemy. The devil is like a lion seeking whom he can devour. Are you actually preparing your day, your life for that battle? Or are you just sleeping in every day? Maybe we sacrifice a little sleep and start our day in the Word and in prayer. That will be an investment that you will reap a great benefit and reward from. We look at these things in the Kaizen improvements, the small little continuous improvements. We're not talking about going from I've never read the Bible to tomorrow I've read the whole thing. We start one page at a time, one chapter at a time. If it takes you 2 years to read the Bible, great. It's small little improvements. Whenever we failure's an option. That's one of my favorite sayings that we have. We're going to fail. You are going to fail. You're going to have struggles. You're going to have trials in life. It's okay. It's okay to take risks. It's okay to not physically gamble, with your money away, but to take a calculated adventure in life, right? I think about even just the concept of asking somebody out on a date is hey, that's a calculated risk and gamble, right? And they may say no, but boy, it's worth it. It's worth taking that risk. It's okay. Life is too short. See, whatever circumstance that you might be in, you don't have to stay in your current situation. It might take a long time to change, but with hard work, with effort, you can make it. Maybe a little less sleep. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. It's not in your own power. It's not of your own might. Remember, Christ came to give us life, to give it abundantly. He wants us not just to survive. He wants us to thrive. There will be trials. There'll be mountains that we have to climb, but you can start climbing and fight for whatever it is that you're pursuing. Life is your breath, right? Like being held underwater. Fight for the breath. Fight for that breath. And when you want something as bad as you would want breath, you can't fail. You will succeed. So when you look at the mountain and you see the obstacle in front of you, don't give up. Do whatever it takes, especially giving up sleep. Because sleep is for broke people. So think again, Christian.
You've been listening to Think Again Christian, sponsored by Rainier Christian Schools and Tony Jamie. Rainier Christian Schools serves preschool through high school with 3 locations in the Renton, Maple Valley, Covington, Kent, and Auburn areas. For more information about Rainier Christian Schools, www.rainiercsd.org or call 425-255-7273.